I am 34, and until last month, I was engaged to a man named Daniel. We had been together for 6 years. Daniel is 39 and has a 12-year-old daughter, Lily, from his first marriage. Her mother died when Lily was 5. When Daniel and I first met, he was careful about introducing me to her. I respected that. I never tried to replace her mother, and I never asked Lily to treat me like one. Over time, though, I became part of their routine. I picked her up from school when Daniel was delayed. I helped with homework. I remembered which cereal she liked and which teacher made her nervous. I sat through dance recitals and dentist appointments. I learned when to give her space and when she wanted someone nearby. Daniel used to thank me for that. He would say, "You make this family feel possible." For a long time, that meant everything to me. The problem started slowly. 2 years ago, Daniel developed severe back pain after an accident. He could still walk and work from home, but some days were difficult. I took on more because it seemed temporary. I drove Lily more often. I handled groceries. I made most meals. I kept track of appointments because Daniel said the medication made him forgetful. I did not resent helping him. What I resented was that he stopped seeing it as help. It became my job. If I forgot something, Daniel noticed immediately. If I remembered 20 other things, he said nothing. He also became attached to his phone. At first, it was understandable. He joined an online support group for people with chronic pain. Then he found a mobile strategy game that several people in the group played together. Soon, the phone was always in his hand. At dinner, he checked messages. During Lily's performances, he played the game between songs. If we watched a movie, I had to explain the plot because he had missed half of it. When I tried to talk about our wedding, he would say, "Give me a second," and keep typing. One evening, I asked him to put the phone away for 20 minutes. He looked at me and said, "Some of these people are the only ones who understand what I'm going through." I said, "I am not asking you to abandon them. I am asking you to be here while you are sitting next to me." He sighed. "You always make things about you." That sentence stayed with me. Around the same time, Lily started struggling at school. She had become quieter and was skipping assignments. Her counselor suggested grief therapy because she was approaching the age her mother had been when she first became ill. Daniel agreed therapy was a good idea. Then he did nothing. For 3 months, the counselor emailed him. For 3 months, he forwarded the emails to me with comments like, "Can you handle this?" Or, "Please remind me later." Eventually, I found a therapist, checked the insurance, completed the forms, and drove Lily to the first appointment. Afterward, she asked whether I would wait in the parking lot every week. I told her I would. Daniel said, "See? She trusts you more with this stuff." He sounded proud. I did not feel proud. I felt trapped. Things became worse when Daniel's younger sister, Chloe, moved back to our city. Chloe is 28. She and Daniel are very close, but she has never liked me much. She is polite when other people are around, then makes little comments when we are alone. She once said I was very organized for someone who never had children. She also told me I was lucky Daniel came with a ready-made family because I had been told years ago that getting pregnant might be difficult for me. Daniel had shared that with her without asking me. When I confronted him, he said, "She's my sister. I tell her things." I said, "That was my medical information." He replied, "She wasn't being cruel. You are too sensitive about this." I asked him to tell her not to bring it up again. He promised he would. He never did. Last autumn, Chloe went through a difficult breakup. Daniel invited her to stay with us for a couple of weeks. She stayed 4 months. During that time, I cooked for 4 people, cleaned around 4 people, drove Lily, handled Daniel's appointments, and listened to Chloe complain about her ex every night. Chloe did not contribute much around the house. When I asked her to load the dishwasher, she said she was emotionally exhausted. Daniel defended her. "She needs family right now." I said, "I need help right now." He answered, "You are stronger than she is." That was supposed to be a compliment. It felt like a sentence. The turning point happened at Daniel's birthday dinner. His parents, Chloe, 2 cousins, and a few friends came over. I had planned everything. Daniel spent most of the evening on his phone because people from his support group were sending birthday messages. I tried not to make an issue of it. Then Chloe announced that she had started seeing someone new. Everyone congratulated her. She laughed and said, At least this one actually wants children. I do not want to end up waiting too long. Then she looked directly at me. The room became quiet. I said, "What is that supposed to mean?" Chloe shrugged. "Nothing. I just think women should be realistic." Daniel's mother quickly changed the subject. Daniel did not look up from his phone. I waited until the guests left. Then I asked him, "Did you hear what she said?" He said, "Most of it." "And?" He rubbed his face. "She had wine. Let it go." I reminded him that he had promised to speak to her months earlier. He said, "I am not starting a family war over one stupid comment." I said, "There is already a problem. You just keep asking me to absorb it so nobody else has to feel uncomfortable." That finally got his attention. He put the phone down and said, "Do you have any idea how much pressure I am under?" I said, "Yes, I manage most of it." He stared at me. Then he said the sentence that ended something in me. "You knew what you were signing up for." I asked him what he meant. He said I knew he had a child. I knew about his pain. I knew his family was close. I said, "I agreed to be your partner. I did not agree to become responsible for everyone while being told I am selfish whenever I ask for basic respect." He accused me of keeping score. I told him I had started keeping score because he had stopped noticing the imbalance. He said Lily depended on me. I asked, "Do you?" He did not answer. The next morning, I packed a bag and stayed with my friend Elise. Daniel sent messages all day, but most were about practical things. Where was Lily's permission slip? What time was therapy? Which medication needed refilling? Had I paid the electricity bill? He did not ask how I was until almost midnight. Then he wrote, "I cannot believe you walked out on Lily." That message made me feel sick. I had not walked out on Lily. I had taken her to school that morning and told her I needed a few days away. But Daniel knew exactly which guilt would work best on me. For years, I had worried that leaving him would feel like abandoning her. He used that fear immediately. The next day, Chloe called. She said Daniel was overwhelmed and that I needed to come home. I told her I would speak to him, but I was not returning that night. She said, "You are punishing a disabled man because he did not defend you fast enough." I said, "No. I am leaving a relationship where every responsibility became mine and every boundary became negotiable." She called me cold. Then Daniel's mother called and asked me to think about Lily. Everyone kept asking me to think about Daniel. Nobody asked Daniel to think about me. Daniel and I met at a cafe 3 days later. For once, he left his phone in his coat pocket. He looked exhausted. He apologized for saying I knew what I was signing up for. He admitted he had relied on me too much. Then he said he was scared. He was scared his pain would get worse. He was scared Lily would lose another parent figure. He was scared that if I stopped holding everything together, he would fail. I understood all of that. I still loved him. That was what made the conversation difficult. I said, "I can understand why you leaned on me. I cannot accept that you kept leaning after I told you I was falling." He cried. I cried too. He promised therapy. He promised to manage his own appointments. He promised to talk to Chloe and set limits. Then he asked me to come home that night. I said no, not because I wanted to punish him, because every promise he made depended on me returning before he had actually changed anything. I postponed the wedding. Daniel told his family the decision was mutual, although it was mostly mine. For the next month, we lived apart. He arranged his own medication delivery. He started using a shared calendar instead of forwarding everything to me. He attended a parenting session through Lily's therapist. He also told Chloe she could not speak about my fertility again. Chloe sent me an apology. It was not perfect. She said she had been insecure and defensive because she felt I had replaced her in Daniel's life. I appreciated that she admitted it, even though it did not excuse her comments. Lily and I continued seeing each other. I took her for lunch every Saturday with Daniel's agreement. One afternoon, she asked whether I was still going to marry her dad. I told her I did not know. She looked down and said, "He pays more attention when you are gone." That hurt more than anything else. Not because I wanted him to fail, because it confirmed that my constant help had allowed him to disappear. It has now been 3 months. Daniel has made real changes. He is more present with Lily. He uses his phone less when we are together. He has started individual counseling, but I have not moved back. Part of me wants to believe we can rebuild. Another part of me worries that the version of Daniel I am seeing now only exists because he knows I might leave. He says change has to start somewhere. He is right. But I also know love is not measured by how much weight one person can carry before they collapse. I still care about him. I still care about Lily. I do not know whether staying would be an act of commitment or a return to the role that nearly erased me. For now, the wedding is canceled. We are dating again, slowly with separate homes. Daniel says that feels like I have one foot out the door. Maybe I do. But for the first time in years, I also feel like I have one foot back in my own life. So I keep asking myself the same question. When someone finally changes after you leave, does that prove the relationship can be saved? Or does it prove leaving was the only thing that made them listen? Text hook. Line 1. I spent years holding his family together. Line 2. Then he told me I knew what I was signing up for. Line 3. If someone changes only after you leave, should you go back? YouTube thumbnail. Then he told me I knew what I was signing up for.